any seat you would like. Here, Coco.
Do you?
Very smile.
It's
That's a good move. I like call on you. Call on you. Okay, Professor Gilmson, do you have a microphone with you? If not, can we pass one down to her? All right, good afternoon, everybody. Let me tell you about today. The intensity of the competition. By the way, another round of applause for the 6 finalists. Not only was it just wonderful playing, but it was a real pleasure of a representation of what we do over here. So this is going to be a memorable, it was just incredible, guys. Congratulations to all. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jason Kwok, and I am the director of the festival, and this is our question and answer forum. What this day is basically all about is we went through 2 days of very intense competition, so now we're just relaxing a little bit. After this, you guys are going to just get a little bit fatter, and you're going to enjoy this Texas heat just a little bit, and that goes true for the faculty as well. Very quickly, can we go across the room and everybody just mention your name and the institution that you represent? We'll start with Professor Gilmson here.
Yes. So,
with the microphone.
hello? Yes? Yes. Okay, Sophia Gilmson, strong Russian accent. Yes, University of Texas, emeritus at this time.
Next.
My
My name is Nick Zahalbai. I represent Mercy University in Macon, Georgia.
My name is Kier Wang, and I'm presenting Colby College in Maine.
My name is Steven Spooner, and I'm at Peabody.
My name is Songlin Park. I'm at Texas Lutheran University.
I'm Joseph Rackers, and I'm from the Eastman School of Music.
I'm Marina Lomazov, Eastman School of Music.
Boris Slutsky, Peabody, and sometimes Bellevue.
Spencer Meyer, Indiana University.
Chris Guzman, Northwestern University.
Enrico Elisi, Texas Christian University.
Soyoung Choi, and I teach at Yonsei and Yeowon School of Arts.
Martin Kasuma, Texas State University and Texas Lutheran University.
Paul Sanchez, Texas State University.
Round of applause for our distinguished faculty. So, the faculty up here had no idea about the questions, nor do they know who's answering what, because we're trying to keep it as organic as possible. So, Professor Slutsky, if you can have the microphone with you. Okay, and this is actually a very interesting question, so I think there's going to be a few people who can answer this. By the way, students, thank you for submitting your questions. How do faculty view pre-screened videos with so many applications and little time? Like, which parts or pieces of the applicant's repertoire do they really listen to?
Do you want the honest answer?
Honest answer, I think, would be very good.
No, actually, that's something I've been fighting for a long time. There was one competition where the pre-screening results were more than interesting. And I was wondering how they were made, and it turned out that there was not even a request for how you listen to those pre-screening videos. Some people listened on their phones, some people listened with their headphones, some people listened with the stereo equipment, so you may really come up with very different results. So when I personally I'm tasked with doing some pre-screening, I try to listen as much as possible. There are some videos that after the first 2 seconds you know it's really bad, so you listen some more to confirm that, and there are not many of those, and there are some videos that are really fantastic, and you know that after a few seconds, so you listen some more to make sure that that's your impression. The vast majority of the videos, and that's why for me it takes so long, is good. Mostly the playing is very good, so it's really hard to choose the number that you're tasked with. So I end up often listening to a huge chunks of those videos, and sometimes more than once, just to make sure, because when one forgets, and you want to be as, again, speaking personally, and I'm sure my colleagues here would share, they're all very nice people, and I'm sure they would share the same sentiment that we want to really do our best, because it takes so much. It takes so much effort to record those videos, and there's so much at stake. So we really try to be as fair as possible and take as much time as it requires.
Thank you. May I ask that same question to Professor Rackers, please?
Sure. I would echo what Professor Slutsky said. I try to set some parameters for myself, like trying to listen to each pre-screening for about the same amount that we would listen to a live audition. And so for me, that's kind of like my baseline, is that's what I want to accomplish with each recording. But like Professor Slutsky said, if you're completely convinced that something is outstanding, then you might not need to listen quite as long to confirm that, and then the handful of recordings that might not be acceptable, that can be pretty quick too. But yeah, all of us on this stage want to give every single pre-screening a fair hearing, and we all live in fear of making the wrong decision on a recording, and so if we have to, we listen as long as we need to make sure that we get that result right.
Thank you very much, everyone. Okay, I would like to go into the next one. Okay, how do you structure your practice sessions when you feel stuck on a specific section? I always like these questions for our most honorable Professor Gilmson.
The question is, how do you structure your practice
sessions when you feel stuck?
Well familiar. Now, are you sure you want me to use microphone, or it sounds better without?
Microphone is better because of the live stream.
Microphone is better? Okay. When I feel stuck, quite often. My question is, why do I get stuck? Most likely, I would get stuck if I stubbornly repeat the difficult part in a hope to run through, to get through, to push through. And that is where I get stuck. If I get to the place of the piece that does not like me, I need to see why that place doesn't like me. And I need to find my answer. Most likely than not, it will be fingering. And no matter how good the fingering is in the edition that I am using, it may not work for me. I have small hands. I don't know the person who wrote that fingering. Maybe he had large hands. It would not be difficult to have hand larger than mine. So I need to figure out what will work for me through that passage. Fingering probably would be my first answer. But even before that, I should stop trying to get through. I should find the answer why I am stuck. And if it is a technical problem, I really need to find the angle. Don't forget the grouping. If it is a long passage, grouping is as decisive as fingering. But the main thing is I need to find the question, why? Another place where I personally get stuck, maybe not you, in memorization. There could be just one part of the piece that simply would not stay in my brain. That is when I should stop repeating it. I should go into a very detailed and scrupulous analysis. How is it written? What did composer did here? Why did composer did it here? What this modulation does? I really need to understand intellectually, not only motorically. I need to understand intellectually what's going on in that place that I cannot memorize. Another device that I use quite often is singing the middle voice. And I do it not only in polyphony, I do it in any kind of texture. Singing the middle voice, and never mind that I sing horribly, it doesn't matter, no one hears me. When I do sing the middle voice, I indeed put it into my ears. So I really advise you to use it when no one hears you, yes, to sing the middle voice. You will be singing soprano easily. You probably will be singing the bass line easily. Sing the middle voice. And if that middle voice travels from hand to hand, as it happens quite often in piano texture, sing it as one melodic line. What are other situations when I may get stuck? Technique, fingering, grouping, breaking, memorization, analyzing. What else? In preparation for a performance, right? I know you had a lecture on yeah, so, and I didn't hear it. I would love to know what your secrets were. You know, preparation for a performance is a different kind of practicing. And you know how astronauts get trained before they go there? There are simulation rooms. We need to create a simulation circumstances for ourselves. We need to practice as if. And it doesn't have to be the whole piece. I like to do this, especially with my younger students. I'm talking about pre-college students. We're working on a small section. We're working on 2 measures. We're working on 2 measures plus 1 note, because I don't like to stop before the bar line, right? Okay, so 2 measures plus 1 note flowing into the next measure. Is it good? Yes. Do we understand harmony? Yes. Is the fingering working? Yes. Do you know these 2 measures and 1 note by memory? Yes. Okay. You are wearing your gown, you are wearing your tuxedo, you are playing these 2 measures and 1 note in Carnegie Hall. You understand? You are not playing the whole piece. You are performing 2 measures plus 1 note in a performing style. That helps. Yeah? How many hours I have to answer this question?
We unfortunately do have to move on, but I would like to point something out. Do you guys know the name Christopher O'Reilly, who was the host of From the Top for many years?
Yeah.
It was about 4 years ago when he just proclaimed over and over on Facebook that the greatest piano teacher in the world is Sophia Gilmson. So take every word she said to heart. He said it.
I had no idea.
Yes. Okay, we're gonna move on, guys. This one is a question that I think many people here are qualified to answer. How do you maintain a large repertoire for a long period of time? So let's go tomorrow night's recitalist, Professor Meyer.
A large amount of repertoire over a long period of time. I think it's important to, I think that what comes to mind immediately for me is the most important thing is to give it breaks. Is to give yourself time to breathe, put the repertoire away, so it always feels fresh. I suppose the big famous guys who play 4 or 5 concertos in rotation over a season and they're playing them night after night after night don't have that luxury so much, but most of us humans do. We give a recital and then there are 2 to 3 to 4 weeks before the next recital, so you have some time. And I think it's important to realize how much you can absorb and how much your repertoire can cook if you trust that you can put it away for a day or 2 or 3 or 4 and give it time to do that. That's hard. Even from one practice day to the next, it was a journey for me to finally accept that I could do the work that I wanted to do, sort of, or reach a certain point at the end of the day, but maybe not be completely satisfied with the work I had done, and know that, again, I would go to sleep, wake up the next day, and it would have cooked a little bit and felt better the next day. That's hard to get to that point where you're trusting that. But large scale, I think that's for me one of the important things is to be able to give it breaks. And per the previous question, one of the things that and this is related to this question as well, is in practice, for me, a lot of the times that I feel I'm getting stuck, I find it's because my practice routine itself, or even just how I'm practicing a certain passage, has become too routine. Down to, say, slow practice. You're preparing the Waldstein and you are practicing it slowly. We often choose a slow tempo. One slow tempo, the same slow tempo all the time to practice the Waldstein. Change it. Always be changing it. That helps me more than anything.
Thank you, and that Professor Myers just did remind me. If anybody wants to add to an answer, please let me know. Okay, the same question for, already? I shouldn't have said, no.
Well, I was just,
Go ahead.
Just go on the large amount of repertoire. I think also to not be inhibited by performing it. You know, we learn the repertoire and then you bring it to a lesson and that's one state, but actually performing is just a whole nother experience of learning the repertoire. And I think this happens with my students in lessons, that they feel like, okay, well, I've gone to a jury and I've learned the piece, and that's not it. I mean, you haven't really gone through the experience of the piece, of feeling the journey of the piece and how you feel physically, but also how the piece is seasoned. And I do agree about putting pieces away for a while after playing them for a long time. The second half of my recital, I played those pieces decades ago. And it was a pleasure to come back to that and discover new things, and also also have the pleasure of knowing that I could resurrect some of the memory from 20 years ago of the piece. So, but I had performed it quite a bit back then. So I would just say not being afraid of performing, getting out and performing the pieces as soon as you memorize them. Try to get to studio class, and studio class is it's such a great workshop with people that support you, and for you to feel vulnerable, and then you can start to build more repertoire and not feel like you're stuck on one piece for an entire semester.
Thank you so much. I want Professor Lomazov to know, as I was reviewing some of the videos from past years, I always called her first. So this is on purpose that I didn't call you first. So for Professor Lomazov, which composer inspires you the most and why?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Which composer inspires you the most and why? And that's how the question is framed, so you can interpret it whichever way you like.
When we first discover our love of music, we get attached to certain sounds and certain pieces, certain works, certain songs. Music is borderless, so I loved certain pop songs as much as I loved classical music, absolutely equal, and I loved some 15th century mandolin playing that we had a random record of at home, and some children songs that I learned when I was really young. And then out of that love of just music, just sheer joy of hearing a sound and connecting to it emotionally, grows desire to reproduce that joy personally. You start making music and you start playing little pieces, and hopefully it brings you as much joy. But in the process of doing that, you discover that sometimes there is less joy when you learn something. There's quite a bit of pain. And the joy keeps coming later and later. But as you go on in that process, you begin to realize what you're doing is you're learning languages. Each composer is a language. Imagine learning French from scratch. In the beginning, it's not a joy of speaking French. You're stumbling for words and you don't know how the inflections go. It's hard. And with a lot of practice, a lot of repetition, becomes second language, right? Becomes natural. So some languages you connect with more than others. And the same with composers. Some composers, some sounds you connect with more, just naturally. Sounds appeal to you, you understand the logic behind it, you just get it. So for me, those composers are all the Russian composers. I just really get how the music works instinctively. And Beethoven. From very early childhood, I just got the language. I understood how the music was put together. I got the characters. It was easy for me to play his music. I get inspired by all music equally. I cannot pick a composer. All I can say is things that I play better, but I'm not necessarily connected. I don't love them anymore. I just play them with more ease. But I appreciate good music regardless. And I get inspired by it every day, and I get inspired by hearing music from you every day. Every day is a new discovery, and I learn something from it every day.
So I'm going to switch up the question just a little bit because this covers two more questions, and I would like Professor Elisi to answer this. Is there a composer that you find underrated? Underrated.
The entire 20th century.
Excellent, excellent. Can you elaborate on that just a little bit?
And any composition written before Bach, which luckily has been revived in the past 50 or so years, I do a lot of listening of Ockeghem, Obrecht, and the Ars Nova, and a lot of music of the past, polyphonic music primarily, but also Guillaume de Machaut. It's a great passion of mine to dig back, and recently I discovered actually one of the earliest songs. I was very emotional about that, because there is a song that was written in Greece, I believe, many thousands years ago, actually. I don't know exactly how it's been reconstructed, but it does exist. It's a very short version, and it's either dedicated to one of the Greek goddesses, or possibly the wife that passed of this composer. And it's one of the most touching experiences, really, to hear that music has existed from so long. And it's, of course, one of the earliest example of notation written on stone, right? So it's on YouTube. It's quite touching. The music is quite short, of course, but it's very songful, and it's a different type of music from what one expects. But yes, I think the music of the 20th century, it's very difficult, because all that has happened post-industrial revolution has accelerated tremendously, right? Now we are sending data centers in space. In China, they just built a data center underwater, which is enormous. And so there are all these things that are happening so fast and so quickly, and so did for the language of music, right? The changes have, and that's the reason why we have not fully kept up with the individualism of each composer, that no longer speaks exactly the classical language, and violates a few rules here and there, breaks through, and then the language changes a little, and then everybody maybe follows with their individuality that language. But suddenly in the 20th century there are a lot of very individualistic people that have taken routes that are different, right? And so I am reading right now about Stockhausen, because I found some of his original interviews translated into Italian. So I got this book recently. I was fascinated because there are some analysis of the concerto of Webern for 9 instruments, including piano, and there are some analysis about his Klavierstücke. So you can see actually the mind at work, and the complexity of the architecture, and I must say, and in some ways the language is very complicated, and sometimes I am left a bit puzzled by the way he discusses things. But the reason also is because I don't have that preparation. I'm always convinced that it's, in a way, also depends on how you are born into a family of people that have always dealt, for example, with modernism. Then in that case, like in the case of Pollini, it was a second language to him to consider Schoenberg very old. But I cannot get any of my students to learn a piece by Schoenberg. And I have been very unsuccessful. So I decided to learn myself. So I think that I would say the music of the 20th century deserves great exploration. And since we pianists begin, so to speak, with Bach, but now we are it's an interesting time. There are a lot of pieces by Rameau, and Brahms was the first person who published a lot of music by Couperin. He was a big fan of Couperin. And so now we are playing also some Couperin on the piano. And the point is that, it's very interesting if you study a lot of music of the past, pre-Bach, it will give you the keys to understand Bach. It's also true that you can study music after Bach and reflect backwards, because, for example, when I learned the Schoenberg Opus 19, I felt that certain silences harkened back to earlier times in other music, and I could actually go backwards. But obviously, it's, you know, history is also chronological, so if you learn to listen and to look at some of the things that you have, you are blessed right now, your generation is so blessed because you don't need to go 60 miles to a library that allows you to check out Tristan und Isolde because your library normally doesn't, or whatever. Now you go on the internet, 2 clicks, and you get what you want. But because you have so much, it's hard to make use of it, right? The problem that we are having is of another nature, which is to decide what you're going to do with your time, because there is so much you can do now. Anyway, so yeah, the short answer is the 20th century and the music pre-Bach that needs revisiting.
And I would like to point out that Dr. Elisi is, in fact, an excellent 20th century performer, and he didn't answer that just because he's married to a composer.
I'm not that.
Just want to make that clear.
I'm not that old. I'm the 21st century.
All right, thank you, Dr. Elisi. Okay, I'm glad you handed the microphone right over to Dr. Choi because she is perfect for this. How is piano development different in Asia? So for her, she's an expert on how things are done in Korea. So how is piano development different in Korea? Or Asia, as far as you know?
You mean piano performance?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I grew up in LA. I grew up in the States, and after my studies, I returned to Korea, which was like a real shock, cultural shock for me, because, you know, having not been there or educated in Korea was difficult for me to teach or even understand the system there. And, you know, Asian moms, tiger mom, tiger moms, all the moms are tiger moms. And it's understood that they're tiger moms. But I was not brought up that way. So I had, you know, I mean, I had a hard time understanding that, oh my gosh, you're abusing your kids by, you know, not letting them do this and that. But I slowly adjusted, and now I'm kind of like the tiger teacher. And saying, like, when I was growing up, you know, my mom did this, we never got to go play outside. We come from a very different background. I think before you learn to love music or like the instrument, we are kind of told, if you play the piano at an early age, it's good for your brain development, for your intellectual development. So a lot of the reasons, I think we start doing the instrument, playing the instrument, because it's good for the brain rather than good for your heart and your emotional or mental development. So we come from a very different background. And a lot of the students who go and study further, like me, although I grew up in LA, I had Korean parents, you know. So then you say, oh, everybody in your family plays the piano. Then the selected few who are like, they say, oh, you're so very talented. And then the parents get, oh my God, my son and daughter is gonna become the next, you know, Im Yun-chan and Cho Sung-jin. So they like get into it. Then your life is very different. You will never see the sunlight again. You will never see the sunlight again. And to get into the Yewon, the arts schools, we all play the same piece, the audition required pieces for that year, which is announced like probably next week. Then we all go play the same repertoire we prepare, and we are auditioned in a closed. We don't get to see the auditioning students. There's a curtain, so you're just hearing. And so it's very, very difficult. But piano playing for Asia, it means like rigorous hours of practice, no sunlight. And we are, no sunlight, and no sunlight. And even we practice in a practice room where it's soundproof, so the neighbors and others will not be disturbed. So basically no windows, no sunlight, and, and like 10 hours of sleep. And during the times preparation for the auditions, like important auditions, they don't even go to school. So everybody's like practicing 10 hours and like 12 hours. And I've seen the results, and coming here, it's given me a chance to like really learn a lot of things, like the things that I've forgotten about, like how really why we are really playing the piano and majoring, practicing, is because ultimately it's because we really do love the piano and the music. But unfortunately, a lot of Korean kids in, I don't know about other countries, but in Korea, they're so done with practicing. So by the time they go to college, they're like, I'm partying now, you know. So a lot of them lose the interest, and I think it's kind of unfortunate. But others do really pursue and go on, and so it's a very competitive environment. But I think we're the only country in the entire world where we are screened like without in a closed there's a black curtain, yeah, and the students are here, and the judges are out there. So everybody's really, you know, it's a very different environment for us to even judge and like decipher what is good music and what is a good performance. So you guys are very fortunate that you guys are not in Korea. You get the sunlight. Sunlight, yes.
Well, thank you for that answer. But one of the things that I do want to point out is we don't know what Tiger Moms mean. Everybody, I'm looking around, we're just a gigantic forest green group of penguins that just lollygag around. So we're always happy. All right. So with this in mind, this I think was somewhat directed towards me and the leader. So I would like to get answers from Dr. Parks, Dr. Kesuma, and Dr. Sanchez. As a leader in a festival, what inspires you the most? That's a great question. Dr. Park, can we start with you?
All right. We had a really good time last year in South Korea, and this year, this festival just feels like really like home. And right before, or just before this festival starts, I personally was really kind of tired and exhausted, physically and mentally. But what inspired me the most? These people, these amazing faculty members. All this conversation, you know, and all the feedbacks from them inspires me so much. So I just got inspired and motivated as soon as I saw them this week. I'm just enjoying my time again here, and yeah, it just feels like really home. And also, Dr. Kwak mentioned about 7 of us are from the first Texas State International Piano Festival, and I am one of them. So I was the first rising student. Star? Was that
Rising Star?
Yes. And I performed Beethoven Opus 81A as the recital program. And this week, a lot of you guys played that piece in the master class and lessons. And it just brought me so much, like, really good memories. And again, so that inspired me again. So that was also good. And so I was a student here at Texas State 16 years ago. And my classmate came back as a piano teacher and also our student's parent. So it was also good to see her. So a lot of factors. It just inspired me and motivates me so much this week. But yeah, and all of you guys, just seeing you guys grow throughout this whole week and just having fun, that really inspired me so much.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Kesuma, what inspires you?
Well, I feel like that kind of answers everything. I maybe just to add a little bit more. So I'm just really inspired by all the faculties here. Everyone here just genuinely cares about teaching, and they all care about the improvement of the students. And also, I'm really inspired by all the students here too. they're all doing so well, and they're very serious about piano, and they're serious about what they want to do with piano in the future. And it's also quite inspiring to see how some of the students have improved throughout the years. Who here has been to the festival before this one as well? And it's always very nice to see how much you guys have improved, and also to see how passionate Dr. Kwok is to this festival, and to make sure that everyone keeps improving and all the faculties keep coming back, and have a great festival.
Yes, Dr. Sanchez. Thank you, Dr. Kisnoma.
Thank you. I think there are a number of factors, and I guess I just wanted to mention briefly, we're going back to this question of practicing has been on my mind, and Dr. Kwok had shared a few words that he wanted us to share with you, and they're actually just little hidden gems here and there, but I think what Professor Gilmson said and what my colleagues mentioned about practicing is so true, and it really gets to the heart of the matter, is this: we can't stay on the surface, right? And I think oftentimes when we get stuck, for example, it's a matter of not letting our minds be casual, right? Not letting ourselves be lollygagging at the bench, like if we were watching a baseball game, for example, or even worse, sitting and watching the San Antonio Spurs.
Right.
Because at that point, really at that point, we just obsess over technique, for example, right? And that's just musical fluff in a way. And really, that's when you can use a word like technician as a pejorative. And at that point, you're really just skimming across the surface of the music as if you were a penguin on ice. But back to the other question at hand. Back to the thank you.
Wait.
Thank you. Back to the other question at hand about festivals and directing. This is an area that's really near and dear to me, and I can tell you why. So I had two life-changing experiences as a 15-year-old student at summer festivals, and one was actually in Fort Worth at the Clyburn. It was called the Clyburn Institute back then, Piano Texas now, and the other one was at Eastman, and they were both in the same summer. And I can tell you that my level as a young artist, I didn't deserve to be in either one. I absolutely didn't. I was just coming from a very informal training background, and so I was sort of teaching myself actually, but somehow someone gave me a chance, right? And saw like this kid might be able to learn something, and gave me a shot. And so that opportunity changed my life forever. And it really meant a lot to me. And so when I was 24, I was living in Spain at the time, and I thought, you know what, I want to start a music festival where I grew up, where there really weren't opportunities like that, so that we can have that sort of thing for students. So I ran a festival called Dakota Sky International Piano Festival for 11 seasons, and then helped start other ones in other places. And that's why I was so excited to join the team here. And I think it can be transformational for you guys, and also for us to be renewed every single year as faculty. And someday a lot of you will probably be faculty artists at other festivals and start your own things that can help other people. I think that's what makes me really excited about it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Very clever answers there, Dr. Sanchez. Okay, this next question, I'm not sure who is the best qualified to answer, but I'll go ahead and read this. Professor Spooner, what inspired you to take on that list project? Would anybody like to take on that question?
What is the question?
What inspired you to take on such a huge list project?
Oh, okay. It was a pandemic project. It came out this year. I released about 11 hours of Liszt's music.
Wow.
Wait.
11 hours?
It took a long time, and I didn't want to take naps every single day during the pandemic, and I wanted to stay active. I felt a lack of motivation, which I think is an issue for everybody at certain parts of your life. And so I started
to do this project, but what was really interesting about it was that I forced myself to read everything that I could about Liszt, and the picture of Liszt that I formulated was a very different picture of who Liszt actually was. And I also understood that Liszt was far from my favorite composer, not even close. But he's one of my favorite figures in music, and he's one of the most important figures in music. And so that's what happened, and through doing the project, I think I grew a lot. And I'm also kind of finished with Liszt. That's the other thing. And so I'm ready to move on. But yeah, that's I hope that answers that question.
Yes, thank you. Guys, I've been asked a couple of times this summer about how to become a rising faculty star. This is something that we started maybe 8 years ago, I believe. And this is when some of our old participants moved on through school and finished their doctorate degree, or is very close to finishing the doctorate degree. So since they were part of this family back then, we said, hey, why don't we invite them back to present a master class so they can write on their resume that they presented a master class at a major festival. So this is one of our very proud ones. So I would like to ask our two rising faculty stars, how was today? Let's start with Dr. Bai.
I was here 11 summers ago, and you know, if I had applied for this festival today with you all, I don't think I would have made it. The level is so high. It's, and I'm so happy for everyone here. Today has been a great day. It's, this is one of the very first stages that I played a recital on, so I have a very special attachment to this place. And so, you know, it's very emotional for me to be on this stage, and you know, passing on however much I have learned throughout the years to the next generations of great pianists. So it's very special for me. It's one of the best days. Yep.
Oh, that really warms my heart. Thank you, Dr. Bai. Dr. Wang?
I was a participant in the very first Texas State Piano Festival back in 2010. And back to then, I could only say 3 words in English. Hello, bye-bye. What is that? Oh, well, what or why? I still remember the day when I took my cell phone with me to all the master class that I had, and I will open the translator, and then whoever gave me the master class, I remember was Dr. Washington Garcia and Dr. Kwok, and then
who are you talking about?
Dr.
So the professors
Professor
over here
who
were
gave me
Professor
master-
Martin, Slutsky, and Meyer.
No, Professor Martin.
Martin.
Yes. So I would bring my cell phone to the lesson, and then they will speak to the translator. And then the translator goes back to me in Chinese. So today, to me, this is a very special day for me, because although I don't speak any English back to them, but I had dreamed this day to teach at the festival, to be on stage, to be able to share everything that I learned from my professors to everyone. So I want to say thank you, Dr. Kwok, and the Texas State Piano Festival for inviting us back. And it's a moment that I know all those efforts that I had put through years that come true. So, and the one thing that I want to share with everyone is never stop dreaming big, but doing things step by step. Never doubt yourself, never doubt your ability of doing things that you wanted to do, but also always be appreciate all the helps that you received and the encouragement that you received from everyone around you.
Thank you. Well, first of all, in the inaugural address, I talked to you guys about the community that we're building over here. I think some of you guys already know this. The TSIPF community we built, especially for the participants, is not like that anywhere else. Ours is very strong. One of the things that I can say right now is I'm looking at this stage, and while these are all very distinguished colleagues, it's incredible to see 4 Texas State piano students, former piano students on this stage, and I can't tell you how proud I am of that. So, just to tell you a little bit more about what I find inspiring over here is today with Dr. Wong, she pulls out a picture of the first TSIPF. It was an amazing feeling to look at everybody and all the pictures. And one of the things that we discovered, which is an amazing thing, is one of the students is now married to the piano professor at Penn State. One of our former students. So, wow, this connection and the way this world collides is incredible. I say this every year, guys, and I truly, truly mean this. Every person that's out here right now, I have a very deep, personal, genuine friendship with, where we share lots of stories, and I can tell you so much about each of these people, and I'm gonna continuously say, together we build a much better, stronger piano community than individually. So always remember that. And this is how we're gonna make all of you guys successful. With that in mind, guys, I would like to ask each one of you guys to briefly say some inspiring message for everyone. Okay, can we start with you, Professor Gilmson?
Something that would inspire.
Yeah, just a short message to everybody.
Quite often, I think how lucky we are doing what we are doing. You look at the world and you see what's going on there. And you look at us and the way we spend our time with each other and with our music. We are the luckiest people in the world, period.
Thank you. Wonderful.
I think along this musical journey, there are going to be hardships. You're not going to win every competition. You're not going to win every audition. But at the lowest moment that you feel, just remember how in love you are with music. I think that's the most important thing.
I would say always be prepared and keep seeking for opportunities to show who you are.
I don't know if I can be that brief, but I want to say the people around you, look around, you might find your really long-time life friend, because when I was 15 or 16, I went to my very first festival. It was a Brevard Music Festival, and there was also Professor Kwok. And we've known each other since that time, which is really, and the friends that I made there at that very first festival, many of them are still my close friends. The other thing is, I'd like to reiterate about discouragement. If you want to do something that's easy, please go be a lawyer, or doctor, or surgeon, or something, because the field is difficult, but it's really worth it. It's really worth it. And we do have the greatest profession. We do spend our time in the greatest way. But I'll just leave you with one little anecdote. A couple of years ago, I was judging a competition at the Juilliard School, and it was a concerto competition. And one particular person I thought was pretty strong. I didn't have him as first, but the judges really didn't agree. The next judge had him 7th, and one of the judges had him 17th out of 18th. And at the end, we were all talking, and I said, we've got to talk about this one person. And the person who didn't like this pianist said, I didn't like him, he was this or that, he played very cold, he did all of these things. And then she said, and I never want to hear him play the piano again. And I thought that that was really unfair. However, you have to realize that the profession, you're at the mercy of people's biases and their taste, and you have to keep going. Well, I felt bad about it, and I reached out to this guy on Instagram, and I said, you know, don't be discouraged. I really enjoy your playing, etc., etc. I didn't hear his name for, actually, until last summer.
Wow.
When we were kind of near Korea, and my phone popped up. It was an alert. This guy, Aristo Sham, wins first prize.
Wow.
And I thought, thank God he didn't get discouraged by not winning every competition. So just a little thing to remember.
A lot of musical opportunities come from collaboration and relationship. So now it's only Wednesday, so if you haven't had a chance to talk to other participants, try to make new friends, try to talk to them, and try to build a relationship. And also, I want you to try to become a person people want to work with, not just the person who plays the piano well. And please come back next year.
I would say that the best students that I've had in my career are the students who, don't just learn from their professors, but also learn from each other. The ones that are curious and the ones that form communities, the ones that are inquisitive and try to learn something. Each time you hear your friends play, each time you're at a guest artist concert, when you're around this incredibly high level, there's an opportunity to turbocharge your study. So remember that how you learn from each other is almost as important as anything else that you'll do.
We're in the profession of sharing, of giving. And you can make a conscious choice to be a giver in this world. This world is harsh and it takes a lot. And sometimes there is an impulse to shore up, to put the shield up, to also take. Don't give in to it. Be a giver in all things, and especially in music.
There have been so many wonderful things said here. I'm at a loss at what other pearls of wisdom I can share, but just remember that in what we do, the shortest distance between 2 points is not always a straight line. So enjoy the journey and take every opportunity to not waste any opportunities. And just enjoy whatever happens to us in life, whether you become a performer, a teacher, a collaborative pianist, a musicologist, a surgeon, a lawyer, it doesn't really matter. The love of music has always been there, hopefully.
I want to expand on exactly what he just said, is that to have your mental definition of success be very broad and open-minded, that it's not about winning the Clyburn, it's not about playing every year with a big famous orchestra. Be willing to play on good and bad pianos in big and small venues, learn different repertoire, play with violinists and singers, play with each other. Anything and everything, it's all, accept it all and do it all and want to do it all. So maintain an open mind.
Yeah, there is so much good advice up here. One thing I think that resonated with me was talking about being a good person. And because you will have many of your friends here back in your life sooner or later. And my colleague at Northwestern, the chair of the department, piano department, Jim Giles, he was my coach when I was 15 years old at Eastern Music Festival. And I've known him, seen him off and on throughout the years, and now I have the pleasure of working with him. And I also have friends I was in school with that I continue to play for, like this great pianist here. But it's, I think it's also more present now for your generation with social media, where emotional feedback is really instant, and also the barrier of the computer or the phone can cut off the human interaction. So it's very important to, not saying don't use social media, because I do, but to be a good human, and to go to festivals like this and form a community and continue to do that.
Wow. What's left to say? How many of you can raise your hands, have heard this quote from a philosopher who once said, "Life without music would be a mistake"? No, Matteo. Yes, a few of you, right? Okay. Do you remember the philosopher? Nietzsche, yes, okay. Now, without, of course, also, I would say, I would add life without curiosity and life without culture would be also mistakes in many ways. And culture is, in many ways, what we are doing here. We are sharing a set of beliefs, and I think culture is sharing also a set of values and beliefs. So we are all in it together, and to be part of a group that is inquisitive and curious and is constantly wanting to learn and wanting to develop, it's very inspiring. And so in some ways, I hope that you will maintain this level of curiosity very, very high, and that you will always have some projects and some ideas that you would like to develop, and to continue reading and listening to music and expanding your knowledge. I assure you that being next to a person that is not interested in culture is one of the most boring experiences that you can have in your life. So I think the philosopher was definitely right, and we can add to the larger picture. And I hope that you will answer the question of your generation, which will be what you are going to be doing with this artificial intelligence, and how is really, in which way it's going to shape your generation, and in which way you are going to make use of this vast information. As we said before, one of the most difficult things, as Umberto Eco already said, is filtering the information. Because, if you get the New York Times on Sunday, you will not be able to read it all if you attempt it in 1 week. So it is about the choices that we make out of all this enormous amount of information we are constantly bombarded by. I think it's very important for especially your generation now that is dealing with something so new and so special and so mysterious in some ways.
Well, the tiger teacher from Korea should say a famous quote. We have a famous quote saying, if you don't practice for 1 day, you yourself will know. If you don't practice for 2 days, they will know. If you don't practice for 3 days, the whole world will know. So it's about practicing. But last year when the TSIPF was held in Korea, I was there for the last days, the concerto winners concert. And what I noticed backstage with Dr. Kwak, after each performance, as the performers were going on stage and after, it's like, enjoy, that was so much fun. And I don't think we've learned, I've never, not never, but for a long time, I've forgotten about how to enjoy and how to have fun on stage. So I want to tell all of you to enjoy not just the good days, but the bad days and the hard days. And it's those hardships and good days and bad days that will make your music world and you yourself.
This one's not an original from me, but then I used to run this nursing home kind of performances in Austin, and what was so special is that one time I got to play with a resident who was a 90-year-old pianist, and we played some drums waltzes, and some of them were pretty difficult, and I was struggling myself, so I asked, so shall we just skip this one because this one's difficult? And she said, it's okay, we'll just take it slow, and maybe we'll get it, but we'll just try it, and just do it slowly. So that's it.
I mean, what else is there to say after all of this? So thank you for the inspirational words. I don't have much to add. I guess I was just thinking that one of the things that was really helpful to me was a mentor of mine was very active in other areas besides piano, and he was a remarkable pianist. But he was also a software engineer. He was an audio engineer. I one time built a radio control airplane for him, which was hanging in his office for many years at TCU, Jose Figali. And he encouraged me to pursue things that I loved that were not musically related. And those things have actually become really important in my own life as a musician. Remarkably enough, it sort of somehow makes everything richer and more fulfilling. So if you have things like that in your life, don't think that they can't be a part of your life as a musician as well.
Thank you. And I would like to just pass on one message. As we go through the journey of becoming a musician, don't forget to be grateful for the people who are molding who you are. So at this moment, this is just kind of very personal, but in 2010 when we started this, I can tell you Professor Boris Slutsky had no reason to join us here. He was already a legendary superstar and we were nobodies. But he still decided to join us, and he's come back so many times. I can't tell you how grateful I am for that. You know, we're looking at 2016 now, and in my career, I'm known mostly as a festival director. If he wasn't generous, that doesn't happen. So thank you, Professor Slutsky. And thank you. Now, if we can all gather and get ready to relax a little bit after the intense week. You guys are doing great, and it's our pleasure to serve all of you guys. Thank you all. Thank you.